And joining us for more on the concerns over contamination in the Tallahassee community is Florida State Senator Bill Galvano, Laura Ward, President of Focus Incorporated, and Wanda Washington, Vice President of Focus. You know, Wanda, I'm going to start with you because when we were just talking about this before we came out here, this still is a very emotionally distressing situation for you.
Yes, it is. We still feel there's a lot not being shared. There's still secrets in the community. No one's upfront and honest with us. We don't get fed information, so notification becomes extremely important for our little community.
This goes beyond the sidewalk issue.
Way beyond the sidewalk issue.
But it basically goes to what your concerns have been for many years.
Yes.
Senator Galvano, you dived into this issue a couple of years ago when you heard about this. You know, what was your journey in terms of, because you got legislation passed to try to prevent something like this from happening again?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me, and it's a privilege to be with these community leaders to my left. It was actually not my journey, it was our journey. And this began in 2005 after we discovered that contamination had seeped into the water supply of this community and into the soil. And for over 4 years, the government knew about it. The owners of the plant knew about it, but the community did not know about it. And it was just a disgraceful situation. And I cannot blame anyone in this community for being suspect of anything that's occurring out there, even up until today.
Laura, when did you first realize or suspect something was wrong?
We first suspected there was something amiss within the community in 2003. We noticed that there was a company drilling wells within the community, and one morning I woke up and one of those rigs was on my property, and I started to question it. From there, we just investigated everything that was possibly happening, and that's how we found out there was contamination in the area.
And Senator, this led you to help pass legislation that did what?
That required that if the Department of Environmental Protection knew or had knowledge of a contamination coming from one site to another, and the property owner had that knowledge, that it would then be shared with the community, that it wasn't a discretionary thing for the DEP or the owners of the property to deal with and keep to themselves, so that people like Laura and Wanda and the rest of the community would know right away that contamination had seeped out and was in their water supply.
Now, it just so happens that this issue came up again with the recent sinkhole at the Mosaic plant in Polk County and in Pinellas County with the discharge of wastewater, and we're going to get that to in a couple of minutes. But you know, we heard the county talk about with this sidewalk project that they did everything that they were supposed to do, and you're giving me a look on your face like you don't quite believe that.
No, I don't believe that. When we were told that they were going to place sidewalks within the community, the sidewalk project is something that the community has asked for years. We wanted sidewalks because it was going to make our travels along the roadway easier for our children. And when they came to us to present the project, what they're doing is not what they presented to us. So that is part of the problem with what is happening. And as we've talked with Manatee County officials over the project, they have said, well, we added a couple of extra things, but you did not change the plans to present to me.
All right, we're going to dive into this more in our next segment. We'll take a quick break. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are discussing water and soil contamination in the Tallahassee neighborhood. Our guests are Florida State Senator Bill Galvano, Laura Ward, President of Focus Incorporated, and Wanda Washington, Vice President of Focus. And, you know, Laura, I want to start with you because where we left off just a few minutes ago, you take exception with what the county is doing right now and that the county said it would do more. Could you talk more specifically about that?
Yes, we invited the county in to give a presentation. We were sent copies of the plans for the sidewalk project We were of the opinion it was a 3-week project, that it was not going to take the amount of time that it has taken. Also, it was only supposed to be put the sidewalks down, put everybody's driveways or whatever back to the present status that they were when they went in. And that is not what's happened, because they've included a lot of extra things, along with having to stop the water supplies to homes between 15th Street and the railroad track for overnight time. They have decided to put in a sidewalk on an additional street that was not in the plans. All we're asking is keep us abreast of what your changes are, so that we will know how to inform the community to tell them what to do and where to go.
Senator, do they have a point?
They do. I mean, knowledge is power. I mean, there's a history with this community. So you would expect the community leaders and the community to be suspect anyway, rightfully so. If they want information, they should get information, real-time information. If there's a question, then government, whether it be the county or the state, should step up and provide that information or those tests.
Of course, just in the last couple of weeks, this has become a major issue in our entire area. First, there was the sinkhole in Polk County at the Mosaic plant, and then also the wastewater discharge in Pinellas County. And the governor had to issue an emergency order that would require local residents to be informed if there was an immediate health concern. Why doesn't the law that you helped pass back in 2005 cover that?
Well, remember, if you go back to 2005, there was no requirement. That's why this community was contaminated for a 4-year period without any of the residents knowing. When we put the law in, there was actually some rulemaking after we raised concerns, and I didn't think the rulemaking went far enough, and so we legislated it. And that law has some thresholds and a time constraint. What the governor has done is shortened that time frame and made it even more imperative that that information gets out. And I think it's appropriate to do that, and it's time to revisit the law that we passed back 10 years ago and make it even tighter.
How?
Well, we can shorten the time frame, for one. That's, if you look at the governor's executive order, it's a 24-hour period. My staff has been working with his staff. The governor and I have had a specific conversation about this, and we're going to build on the good work that was done 10 years ago. But it's legislation, and it doesn't just happen overnight. But I do intend to work on this with him this session.
So whether there is the discovery of a contamination from a long-term plant like this, or a wastewater dump or sinkhole, that residents will learn immediately about it rather than have a longer lead time.
Correct. And the argument for the longer lead time from the agency has been that some time to make a determination. But you know what? Let's make that determination together. If there are chemicals crossing property lines, people deserve to know.
I want to get to another area, and that is whether residents are still concerned about the health impacts of the contaminants from this beryllium plant. And Wanda, I mean, I know this is a very emotional and concerning issue. What are your thoughts?
Sure, the community is very concerned over health issues. We had a health survey that was done, and we have many cancers. We have homes with 5 and 6 cancers in one home. Since they've been digging, we've had cancer deaths in our community. It seems that things are reoccurring. When activities start to happen, the community reacts. You start to see illnesses resurface.
Yet they say that any kind of contamination would be on the property of the plant itself and would not have leached into the neighborhood. You're giving me that look again like you don't believe that.
Well, why do we have a 200-acre or 200-plus acre area that's contaminated now if it stays on site? Initially, they removed soil. They changed the water, the means by which we were getting our water. We no longer use our wells. And the contamination is still spread over 200 acres within the area. So why would it not go off-site? The plant that's there now, they've had a couple of leaks, and it should not be producing anything that is going to be a problem, even if they did. But for them bringing the waters that they are cleansing, which they have not done, through the processing system there, they may get some contamination.
You know,
from
I've investigated situations like this, not only all around Florida, but around the entire country. And I do know that even when there are cancer clusters, causality, to use a legal term, is awfully hard to prove.
Yes, very, very true. And being a lawyer as well, that oftentimes presents a challenge. But you know, having worked with this community and these two ladies for the last 10 years, there are things that really make you step back and ask some hard questions.
You once thought about asking that the community should be relocated.
I thought that was an appropriate step. I mean, you know, even if you just look at it from the perception side, knowing what they know has occurred adjacent to their community and within their community, and just the stress of that, and the questioning that would go on, I believed that would have been a good plan, and we had tried at one point to make that happen. I don't know if it's still on the table.
Where did that go?
I have no idea where that went. The community is still searching for it. We're still looking for relocation.
Well, I'll tell you where it went, and I had laid out a plan with their cooperation. It just required certain entities to put skin in the game, and I was willing on behalf of the state to work with my colleagues to convince them to put some state dollars into the relocation, but we would have also required dollars from the county and dollars from Lockheed Martin at that time.
Who hedged?
Well, it's we had a couple of meetings. In fact, I think it was actually even laid out in the Herald at one point, and we didn't get to that next step. I had sent an invitation out to have what I considered a mediation, for lack of a better word, to bring all the parties in, and we just didn't get the response that was.
Lockheed Martin decided they would restore the community. It may take 100 years to restore it, but they decided they would restore it versus relocating.
And that's a decision they can make unilaterally?
That's the way.
Hope not, but yes.
I guess the question becomes, you know, what happens now?
Well, I can tell you that having talked with them about the sidewalk issue and the concerns that are there, I think we'll go out, we'll visit the site. I want to hear from you all what you think might give you some more comfort, or what you need to know, and maybe we can address it from a state level again.
I'm not sure if you're aware, they had 5 years to start the treatment in the community, and we received a TPOC letter back in January. They had committed to 99% of the contamination being gone in the first 5 years, and only 12% of the contamination was actually remediated out from under that community.
Obviously, there's a lot more to talk about here, and a lot more to investigate, and I'm going to put us on the mark right now and saying that we're going to join you in this effort. So let's take a break right now, and that is terrific. But these folks are still living in this neighborhood, and many others, they're concerned about what happened in the past and their health in the future. You know, we talked about the fact that if you tried to litigate this in court, it would be very expensive, and it's very difficult to do. So what would you like, both the county, the state, and maybe even the federal government to do now?
You want to take that one?
Go ahead.
Well, I think at this point, the only thing that is going to appease the residents, and that when I say the residents, those of us who are homeowners, is for us to be moved from an area that is an industrial area. It is already designated industrial. It's not a good place for us to live. It's already been proven that they cannot clean the contamination from the area in the time period that they've set aside. So something else has to be done.
And from a relocation standpoint, if I'm hearing the community would still think that's probably the best solution. Obviously, we thought so a while back. I'll commit to work with you on that plan again.
We need some health issues, some health answers also.
Okay.
This is the place where we move things along, and I want to tell you I appreciate you all coming here today, and hopefully we're going to do some good here. So thanks, everyone. Before we go, we want to share with you what some of our viewers are saying about last night's topic. Manatee County has become the epicenter for the heroin-related deaths, with 45 fatal overdoses last year alone. Many people are dying because the drug is being cut with the deadly fentanyl or cafenitol. Congressman Ver Buchanan has been advocating for federal funding to fight the problem. We asked what you think about how the money should be used. Shauna Cole writes, rehab programs longer than a few days. Most of these people have no insurance to cover them. They go to get help and providers turn them away. Kathleen Tracy writes, the effort has to be towards putting the dealers out of business. All this talk about rehabbing the users is worthless if there is still all sorts of product to be found with almost no effort. And Buffy McDonald writes, mandatory detox and rehab programs readily available for repeat drug-related offenders. Stop throwing them out on the streets after ER discharge. Addicts do recover and become productive members of society. Well, if you'd like to join the conversation about tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/news@7. I want to thank our guests for being here tonight. State Senator Bill Galvano represents the 26th District in the Florida State Senate. Laura Ward is president of Focus Incorporated, which represents the residents of Tallahassee, and Wanda Washington is the vice president of Focus.